The volunteer program is strictly free, and I'd hate to hear any of my people took any money. But it is a free return preparation for anyone who falls into the category. These two look like they're having so much fun.
Why would they take money?
They wouldn't take any money. And it's available for the residents who make what we call moderate to low income, under $40,000, and that's why it is free. To help
now, what happens if somebody comes in there and is making $55,000 or $60,000 a year, and they need help with their taxes? What do you tell them? Sorry, we can't help you? Or?
I'm afraid so, because we do have income limitations, and we're afraid that if they reach over those limitations, their returns might become more complicated than what they're certified or trained in doing. So what we would ask them to do is contact a paid professional to get their returns done.
And do you have a list of paid professionals, or you just give them
we just ask them to go search the web, or they can search the papers. We really can't give them a paid professional to go to.
Yeah, it wouldn't be right to you.
No, we wouldn't. We couldn't promote one. No.
The earned income, we're going to cover that earned income tax credit in a few minutes. But if a person does not have any experience, Heidi, can they volunteer for this program?
Yes, they don't need to have experience. They just need to know what taxes are and do at least their own and know about tax laws a little bit and have some computer knowledge.
And have you had people come to you with more complicated tax returns that you've had to send them?
Yes, they have, but we tell them to go to a tax paid professional.
Okay. Diane, the electronic filing that you were talking about, can you also do this manually?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so they can mail it. We can print them a paper return, and they can mail it in if they want.
So you can steer them in the right direction, and they can fill it out manually, and you can say...
Well, we would fill it out manually and just give it to them. They just have to sign it and send it in.
Okay. Okay. And how many people are volunteering this year, Heidi? At the site you're at?
My site is about 6 people. We have 2 days in my site. The one that I'm in is 2 days, so it's around 6 people volunteering. Okay. In total, with the 2 sites, it's around 20 people.
20 people?
20 people.
20 people. And are the volunteers? Well, the volunteers are not all from Elizabeth. Diane's from Westfield, right? So, where are the volunteers basically from?
A lot of them are basically from the Union County area. Some from Union. From Essex County, but you have your Elizabeth, you have Union, you have Westfield. I don't know all the cities, maybe Rawway. You've got people coming in from many different volunteers. What happens is individuals, such as Diana, she can tell you, and Heidi, they'll see it in an article, a newspaper, and they'll give a call, and they'll come to a class that's convenient and work at a site that's convenient for them. Many do live in Elizabeth, they work outside Elizabeth or work near Elizabeth, and they want to come in and help. But not all residents.
Why do you think this program is so successful?
The volunteers. It's the volunteers. It's nothing to do with the IRS, trust me.
There's probably nobody from the IRS watching this show, so you're probably perfectly capable of saying that without getting in trouble.
But no, actually what it is the IRS may support the volunteers with training and material and the software package to prepare the returns, but it's the dedication of the volunteers. They come back. We were sitting in the back talking how many years we've had some people return to do tax returns. It's their self-satisfaction of helping others, their desire to help others, that makes the program work. If no matter how many times we train someone, if they had no desire to do it, it just wouldn't succeed. And it's also the residents of Elizabeth and other cities that come to the site and want and trust our volunteers to do their returns, because they do repeat, and they look forward to seeing certain volunteers there.
Now, do we get any people that complain and say they were not happy about?
Some people may complain they're not happy. That could be a range of many things. Some people look for larger refunds, and we may not be able to give it to them.
Don't we all? I mean, isn't that, Diane?
But is that a reason not to be happy with us? You know, I mean, you're only doing what is accurate, and you know, some people. I got a bigger refund last year. Well, you either had more money withheld, or you know, you had more deductions or something, but they shouldn't be mad at us if their refund isn't large.
When that person comes in and says, you know, I got more money back last year, do they probably conveniently have not brought their income tax with them either, right?
Well, we do ask them to do that, but not everyone does.
Okay. So you would say, listen, bring your other form back, we'll look at it.
Right. And
then you can come back here again on such and such a day.
Right.
Okay, okay. Diane, are there any first-year employees you're working with this time?
Yes, at our site. Yeah, I think there's 2 people who...
I should say volunteers, I'm sorry.
Right, 2 people who I've worked with who are first year. And they're a little nervous at first. And again, we just tell them, you know, we all help each other out, though. If anyone has a question, we can help each other out. And then there's somebody there who's also has more experience, like Heidi at her center. So, everyone works together, though.
Heidi, it's interesting that Diane says you're the one with all the experience. I mean,
6 years.
I know, but I remember 6 years ago when we did the show together, right?
Yes.
And you told me about the reason I do this is because my husband and his family need their income taxes filled out, so I figured I'd go learn. And here you are 6 years later doing it on a volunteer basis. It's interesting.
It's interesting, yeah. It's
Now you're the veteran.
It's nice to see people, you know, they're coming to our site, it's completely free, and, you know, they're getting a big refund. You don't have to pay anything out of your pocket, so they're happy for that.
Now, Diane, when you have a question, you may go to a person like Heidi, right? Heidi, when you have a question, what do you do?
We have the website, the IRS website, and we have a hotline we can call to, and we also have our tax resource guide to go, and if we have any questions, we can go to the resource guide and, you know, answer our question.
Diane, one of the things you mentioned before the break was the earned income tax credit. How much do you know about it, and how much have you learned about it, and how many people come in and look for it?
I don't think people actually come in and look for it, but we look to see if people are eligible for it. And I guess I was working on Tuesday, and you know, somebody got extra money from the earned income tax credit, which was great. And we explain it to them.
Yeah, there's so much money left on the table.
Yes.
At the end of the day for earned income tax credit. It's amazing. And so it automatically kicks out in the computer. Is that what you're telling me, Diane?
Basically,
yeah.
It does.
And Heidi, the earned income tax credit, you've been working with that as well now for 6 years. Are people excited when they see that happens?
Yes, and even if they have a big check, they want more money anyway. With their
Everybody wants more money, Heidi.
Yes.
I don't understand this. But they like, as according to Diane, they like the counselors. They like the volunteers, right? So,
yes.
The earned income tax credit, we try to publicize it as much as we can, Denise. And the IRS publicizes it, but there's still a lot of people out there who miss it. Can you give us a brief description on who qualifies for the earned income tax credit?
Of course. You're absolutely correct. Many people do miss the credit, no matter how many times we speak about it. It's actually available for individuals and families who make under, let's say, $38,300. The credit can be available if you have one child, two child, or even no children. And even if you're a grandparent, raising your grandchild or your great-grandchild, and you have earned income, you're working to support that child, you make under that tolerance I told you, the $39,300, you're also eligible for the earned income tax credit. These ladies have been trained to identify the credit. The computer program they use will identify the credit also, so they don't have to worry about missing the credit. Many individuals who think they make under, even if you make $1, you qualify for $5 of the credit. You make $1,000, come into the site, get your tax return done, and get your credit. If you have a child, you have one child, you make under $31,000, come into the site, get your tax return done, and get your credit. Many people feel they don't make enough money. I make very little money. I had no money withheld. You earned income. You deserve the credit. Many individuals also, if they qualify for the federal and they have children, may qualify for the state. So they never apply for the federal and they lose the state funding. This year, between federal and state earned income tax credit for an individual family making under $20,000, they could bring in maybe $5,400 as a refund all by itself, not getting back the withholding or anything. And you are right, many people do lose the credit because they don't think it qualified.
Diane, if they didn't get the credit last year and they're looking for, they heard about it this year, are they allowed to go back?
They are allowed to go back. You are allowed to go back 3 years.
3 years, and you tell them that?
We do, but our site doesn't actually prepare amended returns, so we wouldn't be able to do it for them.
But what would you tell them? How would they get it done, in other words? Would they have to see a...
They can go to a paid preparer.
Okay, and that's how it would get done. Do you run into a lot of those folks, Heidi, who may not have an earned income tax credit in previous years, but they're looking to do the 3 years?
Yes, because they bring the tax return from last year, so we tell them that they can go to a tax pay professional and get the money back.
And how much would that amount to usually, depending on income?
We've had situations where people have gone back and gotten 3 years and found $15,000.
$15,000?
$15,000. Because it would be their federal and their state they'd be going back to get the credit for. They can find a lot of money. We found individuals who didn't know, and not to mention what they're receiving in
I know these
the
people
current
aren't allowed to
year's
take
return.
money, but they should be able to get a dinner or something out of that 15.
No.
I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding for everybody watching.
But yes, and many people have been so excited. This credit also is available in advance. individuals can work. They can give their employer a Form W-5, and they can receive a little bit of the credit as they go throughout the paycheck, and that money can be used. It can be about $40 pay period, but it can help with any extra milk or diapers or anything that you might need.